Welcome to episode 15 of the Mental Dietitian Podcast. Today, my guest is myself. Welcome. Today's topic is talking about identity. Identity. A lot of people want to change their lives. The problem is it's their identities that are holding them back. And one of the best books, in my opinion, talking about this is by James Clear called Atomic Habits. It's probably the best book on habits because it tells you exactly what a habit is, how it's formed, and how to change them, how to create new habits. And you create your habits create your life, and it really affects the quality of your life. But the first thing that really forms a habit is somebody's identity. And there's this beautiful quote that I quote it all the time because it explains what I'm talking about. If you don't listen to anything else in the episode and you cut it short after this quote, I invite you just to sit with that because it's kind of all you really need, and just sit with that and really dive into the layers of it. So he quotes that there's two people. They both are trying to quit smoking. They're both smokers. And the first one is handed a cigarette. He's like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm trying to quit. The second person is handed a cigarette. And he said, no, thank you. I'm not a smoker. The first person's identity is still wrapped around them being a smoker. I'm trying to quit. Trying is a noisy way of doing nothing. Heard that quote once. It really stuck with me. Hey, I'll try that. I'll try this. I'll try and go to the gym. I'll try and save money. I'll try and do that business. I'll try that relationship. You're done before you even started. You're defeated before you even started. Trying is a noisy way of doing nothing. Well, I tried. No, you didn't. There is do or do not, as Yoda said. I think he said it. I've seen the meme all over social media, unless somebody just made it and he didn't even say it. But the second person says, no, thank you. I'm not a smoker. Their identity is rooted in that that's not who they are. So if you're not a smoker, you're not going to do the habits of the smoker. You're not going to be a smoker, are you? If you can sit with that and really wrap your head around that. I had a podcast, I can't remember who it was, and it came to my mind that healthy people don't do diets. Only unhealthy people do diets. So you see on all these magazines, every time I go to the grocery store, I look at these magazines, right? And it's these women's magazines, for example, and it's just like new diet. And it's just this quick fix mentality, or it's like with men, it's like big dick pills, or get skinny quick, or get rich quick, or it's all these shortcuts. And it's because broke people usually get caught into get rich quick schemes. Unhealthy people usually get caught up with fad diets. Wealthy people, it's their identity, and they know that that's not how you create wealth. Healthy people know that it's a lifestyle and that a quick diet isn't going to change anything. Now, there's some people that diet for like fitness competitions and things like that, but they're usually a healthy person to begin with, and they go on an extreme diet to get to a certain level of body fat. That's not really what I'm really talking about. Talking about that your identity. If your identity is somebody, for example, that is an unhealthy person, well, what does an unhealthy person do? They usually have bad eating habits. They go out and eat junk food. They usually get fast food. They usually drink alcohol because that's the identity of an unhealthy person. If you struggle with those things, that's fine. But you have to acknowledge first that you have to shift your identity. How do you shift your identity? It's literally as simple as being like, hey, what would a healthy person do right now? I have choice A to drive past McDonald's, or I have choice B to cook that chicken or that steak or that salmon, maybe cook some vegetables. I could steam some broccoli, cook some sweet potatoes in the oven. It'll take a little bit longer, but who do I want to be? Do I want to be a healthy person, or do I want to be an unhealthy person? Well, what other habits does a healthy person have? Well, they probably have some kind of exercise regime. They probably go at least 3 to 5 times a week in some form. Could be a gym, could be a martial arts practice, it could be yoga, but they're doing something that is moving their body. Most of them move their body in some sense every single day. I move my body every single day, pretty much. Some days I don't. But 6, 7 days a week, I'm moving my body because I'm a healthy person. That is who I am. That is my identity. And it's very easy for me to say, oh, that's my identity, but I've always kind of been that person. I've been exercising ever since I was 13, 14. Ever since I was a kid, I never really stopped. Sometimes people stop and they put on weight and things happen in their life and they got stuff going on. I get it. But if you want to change your life, you can try every gym workout that you see, you might buy a program on how to start a business. But if you don't identify and start working on your identity and start working on the things that hold you back mentally, it even could be stuff like traumatic things. Like you could have some serious wounds, some serious trauma from your childhood around money. I did. I was very scared about money. It's still something I'm working on. I still have this scarcity mindset around money. And that's a part of my identity. But now, as I've gotten older, I have an abundance mindset around money. It's a renewable resource. I can always go get more. I've developed amazing skill sets where money's not this scary thing for me anymore. Money is not oxygen. It's not air. I don't need it to breathe. I used to say that all the time. I used to say to people, money's like oxygen. If you don't have any, it's all you think about. And I kept on repeating that to myself over and over and over again. And what I did to my subconscious mind, which I realized recently, is I basically said, money is oxygen. Money is not oxygen. It's not. That is oxygen. I just breathed it in. Money is not oxygen. Although, if your identity tells you it is, that if you don't have any, you're going to have some severe anxiety. So you got some stuff to work on. But number one, before you really do anything, you really need to understand that you need to shift your identity. Because if you don't shift your identity, you can start all these things, but you will get to a certain point and they'll never stick. I've met so many people like that. It never sticks. I've trained people when I was a personal trainer that they would do things, but they never identified as a healthy person, because a healthy person wouldn't do the things that they're doing. A healthy person wouldn't smoke a cigarette after a workout. That's not a healthy person. So it's really about identifying, okay, what is the identity of a millionaire? What is the identity of a doctor? Say if you're studying medicine at university. So what is the identity of a straight A student? What habits do they do every single day? What would they do in this situation? It's a great way to give yourself a bird's eye view perspective, because sometimes we get caught up in our emotions and we're like, shit, man, I've never been here before. I had to do it when I entered my jiu-jitsu competition recently. I was like, what would somebody who wins a jiu-jitsu competition do? And I was training twice a day, 6, 7 days a week. And I've kind of backed it off a little bit now because I don't have a competition that I'm going to go into coming up. Probably go on another one this year, maybe another 2. But I had to really shift my identity to be like, okay, what would somebody who wins a jiu-jitsu competition do? Well, they're not going to casually tackle it. What's somebody who wins in their life going to do? They're winning in their relationships. How do they treat their significant others? How do they treat their kids? Somebody that's winning in their spiritual practices. What are they doing? They're probably meditating every day. They're probably journaling. They're probably really tapping in and really feeling things. They're probably not going to watch hours of TV or play video games in the morning because they're spiritually connected. What's the identity of a wealthy person? Well, they're not going to spend their money on that. They're probably going to invest their money here. Well, I don't know about that. That's fine. You can start learning about it. It's like I did, just like anybody does. You got the internet. How to be a wealthy person, how to be a healthy person, how to be spiritually connected, how to have better relationships. You just start. And it starts with that, really identifying what is the identity of this person that I want to be. I've I used to say to people that you have to create who you are. And I've kind of I want to reframe that, because lately I've really realized it's more about remembering who I am. Before all these things happened that happened in everybody's life, before that time that girl broke my heart at 11, and then ever since then, I've been intimidated of really beautiful women. And that's something within me. I've felt that. Like I had this weird reaction. If I see a really beautiful woman, I have literally a strange reaction internally where I get very nervous. And I had to deal with that. And it's just all these things you have to navigate and things like that. But what I mean by remembering who you are is that you look at any little kid, most of them are really happy. They have abundance mindsets. They think they can do anything. They have great relationships. They've usually got a bunch of friends. They're spiritually connected. They can feel emotions. Their friend cries, they cry. They can feel joy. Because I believe, what is the meaning of life? To feel all of the human emotions you possibly can, from despair to anger to joy, all of them. Feel every single one of them. Sorrow, grief, the waves of grief, how it goes this. Any person knows that grief, for example, comes in waves. It's, you think you're fine, then 2 months later, boom, it's back. I think we're put on this earth to feel all the emotions. So I think it's more about remembering who you are, because I remember being a kid and thinking I could do anything. I remember telling my mom, I'm going to go do this. I'm like, what happened to that little guy? Stuff happened, stuff piled up on you, stuff piled up on me. We had things happen to us. We were hurt. And that can affect our identity, because sometimes somebody tells us who we are, and it really hurt us. And then our wounds and the things that happened to us can attach to this new identity that somebody else placed on us that wasn't us. So there's a lot to unpack here. I've kind of covered a few different things here, but identity. If you want to change your life, you got to change your habits, but you have to base your habits around your identity. If you have not read Atomic Habits by James Clear, go buy it, go listen to it. It's amazing. It literally breaks down step by step: cue, craving, response, reward. I think there's another step as well. I've forgotten, but there's a cue. So cue, like something happened, for example. This is habits. A cue might be you get home from work. The craving is like, I want a beer. The response is you go grab a beer, and the reward is the dopamine rush or the taste of the beer. But I think first and foremost comes your identity. If you get home, you're like, no, I'm a healthy person. You'll pick up a bubbly like this. I drink these every day. Gives you that same kind of, you crack it open like a beer, you smash it back like a beer, but it's not beer, it's water. So highly recommend reading that book. It'll change your life. There's one book I stand behind. It's that one. It's like, if I could say, hey, what's one book that could literally like systematically, very practically change your life? It is Atomic Habits by James Clear. He did so much research on it. It wasn't funny. I think he did decades of research to write this book. Really great book. And all I really spoke about today was my opinion on certain subjects and my perspective on certain things that happened within my life, and just really, really trying to drive home how important identity is. And if you don't start working on it, that it'll be like throwing mud at the wall. You'll try all these different things and do these different fad diets or whatever, but you're like, why is this not working? I meet so many people like that. And I'm sure you maybe have been like that at one point in your life. And you know people like that. They're always trying different things. They never seem to get success in any of them. It's probably because their identity. It's like, oh, they always give up. Yeah, their identity is a quitter. If you identify, well, I'm always the kind of person that doesn't finish things. Change. Do you like being that person? I used to be like that. I'm not like that anymore because I didn't want to fucking be the person that never finished anything. Nobody wants to be that person. But if your identity is rooted in that place, you continue being that person. So what you got to do, first and foremost, is prove to yourself that you can finish things. Prove to yourself one thing at a time. You don't have to do these crazy things like chucking out all the junk food. It could be simply as, I'm going to get home. Instead of cracking open a beer, I'm going to crack open a bubbly. I'm going to crack open a sparkling water. Or when you get up in the morning, you make yourself some eggs versus having that sugary cereal. Or when you get paid, as soon as you get paid, 10% of your income goes towards investments. And you just don't even think about it, you just do it. Or 10% goes towards paying off that debt that's been lingering over you. Or you make sure that you turn the TV off on a Wednesday just to look in your kids' eyes. Things like this. It's not these giant things. It's these little atomic habits, these little habits that are the size of an atom, like tiny things that can have so much power in your life. But it all starts with identity. So hope this helped, guys. It's a bit of a short one, and I wanted to share this with you. It's something I'm really passionate about, something that I'm constantly challenging myself on. I'd love to hear your feedback on this episode. And I'd love to hear your feedback after you read that book, because you got to read it. Talk to you soon. Bye.